When people ask me about my childhood, I usually change the subject. It's not that it was terrible, I had food on the table and a roof over my head, but let's just say it wasn't exactly the Brady Bunch. My name's Ruby, and at 32, I'm finally ready to tell my story. Not because I want sympathy, but because maybe someone out there needs to hear it. I was 8 when my life changed completely. That's when my sister Sarah was born, 2 months premature. I still remember my dad rushing to the hospital in the middle of the night, and my Aunt Jessica coming to watch me. Everyone was so worried about the baby, and honestly, so was I. I didn't know much about premature babies then, but I could tell from the adults' faces that something was wrong. Sarah survived, but she was incredibly fragile. Our house turned into something between a hospital and a fortress against germs. Mom was constantly cleaning, and the smell of disinfectant became as familiar as the scent of dinner cooking. Every surface gleamed, and God forbid if I so much as sniffled. "Ruby, was that a cough?" Mom would ask, her eyes narrowing with concern, not for me, but for Sarah. "We can't take any chances. Pack your bag, you're going to Grandma's for a few days." And off I'd go, either to Grandma's house or Aunt Jessica's, like I was being quarantined. It happened so often that I kept a pre-packed bag in my closet. At first, I tried to see these visits as mini vacations, but after a while, it just felt like exile. I threw myself into school, determined to at least make them proud that way. I got straight A's, joined the debate team, even won a regional science fair. But every achievement was overshadowed by Sarah's latest doctor's appointment or minor improvement. "Look, Mom, I got first place in the science fair," I'd say, holding up my trophy. "That's nice, honey. Did you wash your hands?" Sarah's been a bit sniffly today. The worst part? When Sarah turned 7, she suddenly stopped getting sick. It was like a switch flipped, and she became this perfectly healthy kid. But nothing changed with Mom and Dad. They'd spent so long protecting her that they didn't know how to stop. And Sarah? She learned pretty quick that she could get anything she wanted by playing the fragile card. High school should have been my time to shine. I was doing everything right, honor roll, extracurriculars, the works. But in our house, Sarah's drama always took center stage. I remember one parents' night particularly well. My chemistry teacher had just finished telling Mom and Dad about my potential for a science scholarship. "Ruby's one of our brightest students," Mr. Peterson said, beaming. "She has a real future in." Before he could finish, Mom's phone rang. Sarah was having a crisis at home with the babysitter. "What's wrong, sweetie?" Mom asked into the phone, already gathering her things. I could hear Sarah's theatrical sobs through the speaker. "I can't find my favorite pen for homework. The one Ruby gave me is stupid." Just like that, parents' night was over. They rushed home to console Sarah over a pen. A pen. I stood there watching them hurry away, Mr. Peterson awkwardly patting my shoulder. After that, I noticed they stopped coming to my events altogether. It was easier that way, they said. No risk of Sarah's tantrums interrupting things. When I won the state debate championship, they didn't even put the trophy on the mantle. "Sarah gets anxious when she sees other people's achievements," Mom explained, tucking my trophy into a drawer. College acceptance day should have been huge. I got a full ride to state, academic scholarship, merit grants, the whole package. I was over the moon until I got home. "Whatever," Sarah rolled her eyes at dinner. "Now you can finally move out and I can turn your room into my gaming paradise. I'm thinking 3 monitors, maybe a streaming setup." I started counting down the days until freshman orientation. 4 years of college flew by, with me spending every possible moment in the dorms or library. Home became a place I visited occasionally, usually for mandatory family dinners where Sarah held court with tales of her latest middle school drama. At 23, armed with my degree, I landed a job as a manager at Thompson and Company. The salary wasn't great, enough to rent a tiny apartment and buy grocery store sushi, but not much else. I should have been discouraged, but honestly, just having my own space felt like winning the lottery. Then one day, scrolling through social media on my lunch break, I saw an ad for an investment course. Learn to make your money work for you. Usually, I'd scroll past that kind of thing, but something made me stop. The course wasn't cheap, but it was within reach if I ate ramen for a month. That course changed everything. The instructor, Dave, had this way of making complex investment strategies seem obvious. I started small, putting a few $100s into promising tech stocks. Then a few hundred more. I studied market trends like my life depended on it, took advanced courses from top investors, learned about risk management and portfolio diversification. My first big win came from a small AI company nobody was watching. My $500 investment turned into $5,000 in 3 months. Then came the biotech startup that tripled my money. Before I knew it, my side hustle was making more than my day job. I'll never forget the morning I realized I could quit. I was sitting at my desk, pretending to care about quarterly reports, when my investment app pinged. Another stock had hit my target price. I did the math, my investment income was now triple my salary. I typed up my resignation letter right there. I kept going to those Saturday family dinners. Don't ask me why, maybe habit, maybe some lingering hope that things would change. I'd sit there, picking at Mom's overcooked chicken, listening to them go on and on about Sarah's life, while my investment portfolio pinged away in my pocket. "Ruby, you're still at Thompson's, right?" Mom would ask occasionally, not really interested in the answer. "Yep, same job," I'd say, and watch their attention drift away before I even finished speaking. It was easier that way. No need to explain that I'd quit 2 years ago, that I was making more money in a day than I used to make in a month. Sarah was the star of every dinner conversation. She'd gotten into Carleton University, one of those schools where the tuition costs more than a house. "It's so expensive," Mom would sigh, but her voice was proud. "But Sarah deserves the best education. We've taken out loans, of course, but it's worth it for our little girl's future." Sarah would beam, twirling her pasta. "My roommate has a Gucci backpack. Everyone there comes from such good families." The undertone was clear, "Unlike your family, Ruby. Unlike you." One Saturday, I arrived to find Mom in tears over bills. Dad was at the kitchen table, surrounded by paperwork, his reading glasses perched on his nose. "The property taxes went up again," he muttered. "And with Sarah's tuition." I watched them struggle, remembered all the times they'd chosen Sarah over me, and still, they were my parents. That night, I set up an automatic transfer, $1,000 a month, to their account. When I told them about it, Mom actually hugged me. It was the first time in years she'd shown me any real affection. "Oh, Ruby, this will help so much." I thought maybe things would change after that. Maybe they'd see me differently. But then I overheard them in the kitchen after dinner. "We should send some of Ruby's money to Sarah," Mom was saying. "At least $300. The poor thing feels so out of place among all those wealthy students." "Good idea," Dad agreed. "She needs to keep up appearances. Maybe she can finally buy herself that designer bag she's been wanting." I wanted to walk in there and tell them everything. About quitting my job, about my investments, about the fact that I could buy the whole damn designer store if I wanted to. But I didn't. I just stood there, shaking my head, listening to them plan how to spend my money on Sarah's social climbing. By the time I turned 29, I was ready for a change. My investment portfolio had grown beyond my wildest dreams, and I was tired of paying rent. After months of searching, I found the perfect apartment in a secure building with a great view of the city. Nothing flashy, just clean lines, good bones, and enough space to feel like home. Best part? I could buy it outright, no mortgage needed. The day I got the keys, I stood in the empty living room, listening to my footsteps echo off the hardwood floors. This was mine, all mine. No loans, no debt, no strings attached. I'd done this myself, without anyone's help or approval. When Mom called to check in, meaning, talk about Sarah, I mentioned I was moving. "Did you find a cheaper rental?" she asked, distracted. I could hear her shuffling papers on the other end. Just a different place, I said vaguely. Better location. Well, don't spend too much on rent, honey. You know how unstable the job market is for people in your position. I had to bite my tongue to keep from laughing. If she only knew that my position involved managing millions in investments, not pushing papers at Thompson's. At the next family gathering, Aunt Jessica asked about my new place. Ruby's renting a new apartment, Mom jumped in before I could answer. But wait till you hear about Sarah's latest accomplishments. She's about to graduate from Carleton University. Top of her class,